How is everybody doing this evening? I hope that you guys are having an amazing night. Um, I know Friday is date night for a lot of you. But I wanted to get on tonight. And, tonight's live is going to be about something that affects over 90% of us. Okay. This is something that affects 90% of adults. Most people actually don't even know that they have it. But before we jump in, tell me where you're tuning in from. Okay, drop your city, your state, maybe the country that you're calling from. I'm always curious where people are located around the world. And I'm going to be talking about something that I know affects so many people. And I'm super excited to get on. Okay. And folks, if you're struggling with your health, okay, this information could change your life. And if there's somebody that you know that needs to hear this, feel free to share this live with them so that they can hop on, they can listen, they can ask questions. But I'm super blessed to be able to get on and talk about something that has really changed my life and I think many other people's lives. And so I hope that what I share helps you to avoid the same mistakes that I made. And so thank you for being on tonight. And as you guys tune in, please let me know where you're tuning in from. Solomon said in the Bible, okay, in all you're gaining, gain understanding. And let me tell you, when you understand insulin resistance, it changes everything, okay? Believe it or not, most people have insulin resistance, but they don't even know that they have it because it is something that is rarely talked about. But again, it affects 93% of us. And so for most of my life, I was dealing with something called insulin resistance, right? I was tired all the time. I was craving food all the time, right? Snacking. How many of you snack all the time? How many of you are eating all the time? How many of you struggle, sleeping through the night, right? You're waking up multiple times to go to the bathroom, right? This is all something that is caused by insulin resistance. And unfortunately, far too many people are struggling with this. Okay. Let me make sure that this is. And so, as I share some things with you, feel free to put any questions that you might have in the chat. Bethany and Liam, thank you for hopping on. And so, what I eventually learned was insulin resistance. That is something that affects 93% of people here in the United States, but it's a global epidemic, right? There's people literally all over the world that are affected by this. And it is a metabolic condition that's now incredibly common. It is associated with things like weight struggles, right? How many of you struggle with your weight? How many of you have blood sugar issues? How many of you have hormone imbalances? Maybe you've got cardiovascular risk. And the shocking part is that most people are never directly tested for it. They don't even know that it's present. And so, I've had some close calls with my health. And once I finally understood what was happening metabolically, everything started to make sense. And so over the past year, I have focused on improving my insulin sensitivity. My energy, my labs have improved. I had stage 4 kidney disease that went away. I had acid reflux and brain fog and anxiety, depression. I had all of these things, and they have ultimately improved and gone away. So this is why I do these lives, okay? Not to scare people, but to give them information that I wish I had earlier, okay? Bear with me for just a second. And so over the past year, actually really 2 years, I have improved my health. And now I get to share this with people, because, I mean, think about it. There's so many people that are struggling with their health, and most people just don't know that they have it. Okay. Um, sorry, guys. And so here's something that surprised me, and I think that this might make a lot of sense to a lot of you. When people go to a doctor, and maybe your cholesterol is elevated, medication is often discussed first, isn't it? You guys realize that when we go to a doctor, they rarely ever talk about helping you to fix the root cause. All they are doing is managing your symptoms, right? But the moment you come off those meds, okay, all of these symptoms come back. And so one of the reasons why I get on here, and Mackenzie, good evening. One of the reasons why I get on here is because that some of you know my story, some of you don't. But back in November of 2014, I donated one of my kidneys to my sister's husband. And every year I was required to go and get my labs done. It was 7 years later when I was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease, and my nephrologist said that if I didn't lose weight, if I didn't change my diet, that I was going to end up on dialysis. And so I was prescribed medication that didn't work. And it wasn't until 2.5 years later that I learned what insulin resistance was. And not only did I learn about what it was, but my friend shared a simple tea and fiber that is listed in the PDR. It's been around for 30 years. And all she did was she suggested that I try it. And so back in January of 2024, I started sipping on a chlorogenic tea, and I started taking this fiber supplement that was created by Rexall back in the 1980s. And within 5 months of being on this, I lost 32 pounds. I had migraine headaches for 23 years that went away in the first week. I had acid reflux. I had brain fog. I had anxiety and depression, sleep apnea, and all of these things went away. Now, the reason why I share this is because my doctor, when I was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease, had prescribed medication to me. It didn't work. I literally stopped taking it because I didn't want to take it anymore. It was making me sick. And it wasn't until 2.5 years later when my really good friend reached out and said, you know what, you should try this. And the rest is history, right? I've been using it for 2 years. And now I share this on here, on my TikTok page. So if you are somebody who's been struggling with your health, maybe you're on a bunch of meds, maybe you'd like to get off those meds, maybe you're wondering if you can actually fix the root cause, or if the rest of your life is just going to be one medication after another. And I want you to know that it doesn't have to be that way. This is why I get on this live, to help you to understand what it is, so that you, each and every one of you, can start connecting the dots to the health issues that you have. I do want to let you know that I don't work with everyone. Okay? I don't work with people who want a quick fix. I don't want to work with people who are unwilling to make simple changes in their habits, right? I work with people who are done trying, okay? I work with people that don't want to spin their wheels anymore. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And if that's you, what I'm going to share with you could change your life. And I'm not just saying that to be facetious. I'm saying that because that is exactly what is happening to hundreds and hundreds of people that I've been able to connect with. I have helped over 1,000 people improve their metabolic health naturally. Okay. Now, for those of you that are wondering if I'm a doctor, I am not. Okay. I'm not anti-doctor. I'm not anti-medicine. I am anti-ignoring the root cause. Okay, I'm a health coach. I coach people and I help people to understand what insulin resistance is so that they can identify what is going on inside of our bodies, right? My hope and my prayer is that what I share helps people to avoid making the same mistakes that I made. Okay. So if you're dealing with diabetes or if you're dealing with neuropathy or weight issues, okay, you don't have to wait to fix your health at all. Okay. Here's why this conversation that you and I are having matters. It matters because in the United States, over 90% of people are considered metabolically unhealthy. Think about this for a second. Okay. If you and I are in a classroom, okay, there's 100 students in that class. That means that 93 out of the 100 students are failing the class and only 7 are going to pass it. How many of you would love to sign up for that class knowing that 93% every class fails? Okay. I don't know that I would sign up for that class. Not to say that I'm not, smart enough that I can get through it, but the reality is that the majority of people are considered metabolically unhealthy, and most of those people are on a medication or multiple medications. But the reality is that 54% of the United States population is either diabetic or pre-diabetic. Okay. 3 out of 4 people, okay, are overweight or obese. Okay. Now, Judy, that's me, heard. I think I kind of understood the last part that you're putting in there. And, oftentimes it has nothing to do with a parasite that everybody seems to want to talk about. Okay. It has everything to do with insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome. Okay. You're not alone. Okay. First and foremost, you're not broken. Okay. But let me talk about insulin for a second. Okay. Does anyone on here know what happened to your blood sugar and your insulin when you eat food? Is there anybody that knows what happens when you eat those foods, especially sugar and carbs? Okay. What I want to show you or really illustrate is this. Okay. Every time we eat foods, okay, especially sugar and carbs, what happens is that we blow up our blood sugar like a roller coaster. Okay. And when we blow up our blood sugar like a roller coaster, our insulin goes up. Okay. Insulin is not your friend. It's not your friend at all. Okay. Insulin is a fat storing hormone. Insulin is the gatekeeper to your cells. It is what unlocks your cells and allows the glucose to enter in. And now your body utilizes this for energy. Okay. This is the energy that powers your brain, your organs. Okay. This is the energy that, allows us to function every day. The problem is that if you and I are eating all day long, guess what happens? As you notice, at the end of the day, your insulin stays high all day long. Okay. It stays high. This is why you're tired all the time. This is why you're craving food all the time. This is why you're gaining weight and you can't lose it. Okay. Sorry. And so I think about this, right? And my dad passed away on Easter Sunday, 2017. He passed away from something that could have and should have been prevented. Okay. My brother in January of 2005, okay, 33 years old, and he passed away from something that could have been prevented. He ultimately took his own life. The reason why I get on these lives is because the majority of people that I've connected with, young and old, they have no idea what insulin resistance is. You know, I've done a bunch of health and wellness clinics and things like that, and it's amazing that people have no idea that they can improve their health. And Prizuka, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. And Susie, thank you for sharing this. Okay. Here's our biggest problem. Okay. One of the biggest problems that we have is that every time you and I go to a doctor, all they're doing is throwing medications at our symptoms. Medications don't fix the root cause. If we want to fix the root cause, we've got to fix it internally, right? It's like if you and I are driving our car down the road, okay, the check engine light comes on. We can either ignore it or we can take care of it. We can have, you know, a trusted mechanic or friend look at it and analyze it, or we can put the blinders on and pretend like nothing happens. And ultimately what's going to happen is you're going to run into bigger issues. And unfortunately, this is what is happening with 90% of our population. It just shows you how big of a problem this is. Alexander, thank you for sharing this. And thank you to those that are following me. I appreciate that. I hope that what I share with you gives you hope. I hope that it helps you to understand what you can start to do in your own health, your own life, to improve your health. That's what this is all about. Okay? I'm living proof that you can have stage 4 kidney disease and you can improve it naturally without the need for meds or diets. Because far too often, all we're doing is we're just throwing medications, folks. That's not the answer to your problems. Okay? You're actually creating more problems when you do that. And this is the problem. Because when you and I go to a doctor, all they are doing is treating the symptoms. They diagnose and treat the symptoms. That is it. Okay? And at the end of the day, you should know that you can fix your health without meds and diets and crazy exercises, because it's true. But our reality today is that more than half of our country is diabetic or pre-diabetic. Okay, 75% of our adults and kids are overweight or obese. If we look at cardiovascular disease, like heart attack, stroke, things like that, if you look at autoimmune conditions like lupus or rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's, Crohn's disease, it's all going up. Metabolic dysfunction continues to rise. And these challenges aren't just limited to physical health, right? How many of you are tired all the time? How many of you are, you know, you just ate dinner, but you're already thinking about your next meal? How many of you have mood swings, depression? What about fertility? How many of you have a family and maybe you're struggling to have a family, right? PCOS, 26% of American women have this. Okay, it's a leading cause of infertility. What about men that have erectile dysfunction? And no, I'm not talking about guys in their 60s. I'm talking about guys in their 20s. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. The problem is every single one of those symptoms, like skin tags, skin issues, blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, heart disease, kidney stones, liver, vertigo, gout, right? All of these things are caused by one thing. But most of us, all we are doing is we're just throwing medications at our symptoms. How's that working out for you? How many of you have lost loved ones to the C word, right? You guys realize that heart disease and that C word that we celebrate in September, these are the two leading causes of death worldwide. And most people have no idea. Seriously, most people don't even know that they have insulin resistance because it's silent. It's silent until it's not, right? How many of you have ever been blindsided by your doctor, right? You're sitting with your doctor and he or she is telling you that you have diabetes or that you have some other serious issue, right? How many of you can relate to that? Merrick Carr, good evening. Thank you for being on. Okay. How many of you would love to get off your meds? How many of you, if you knew that there was a solution to the problem of insulin resistance, maybe a solution to diabetes or your weight issues without, a pill or an injection or, some crazy diet, how many of you would love and genuinely want to know? If that's you, put me in the chat. The reason why I'm asking is because 93% of people have insulin resistance. Most of those people, including you that are watching this, are on metformin and statins and Ozempic, and you're on a bunch of different medications. Most of you have no idea that there is a natural alternative to the medications that doctors prescribe. See, when your doctor's prescribing you a med, I'm using something that's made from plants and food that actually works. There's no side effects. There's no contraindication. In fact, it's been around for over 30 years. It is listed in the PDR, which is the same, book that the doctors use to prescribe. And yet hardly any one of you even knows about it. Because here's the truth. Doctors test what they can medicate. If a doctor can give you medication, they're going to, okay? And so this is why I'm so grateful and honored that I have the freedom to be able to get on here and share something that can literally make an impact in another life. I always wanted to become a police officer. That was like my goal. Okay, I always thought that I was supposed to get into law enforcement, so I started applying back in 2004, and needless to say, I never got in, and I'm okay with that. But I feel like I make more of an impact in people's life today than I ever did in anything, and more than I probably even would if I was a police officer. And to the men and women that serve in our military or law enforcement, be safe. My heart goes out to you. Appreciate your service. I feel like I make more of an impact teaching people literally all over the world. I mean, no joke, I have customers in every country just about. We're in 66 countries, and I have customers in most of them. I love that because I'm connecting with people that have a sincere desire to learn how to improve their health that doesn't require medications or diets or things like that. And if you are somebody who is struggling with your health, what I am sharing with you tonight could change your life. Gammy, how you doing, brother? And so, you might be struggling with these, right? Skin tags or the dark patches of skin on your neck or your armpits. Okay, these are signals from your body that something's off. Okay. And I think one of the biggest challenges is that insulin resistance is rarely tested for, right? When you go to a doctor, usually your doctor tells you that your labs are normal, right? But you don't feel normal, right? You feel sick. And here's the truth. If your cells are healthy, you are healthy. If your cells are sick, you usually are sick, right? That's kind of what happens. Gammy, I hope you're having a good night, brother. And I want you guys to understand that this conversation is not about avoiding doctors or medications. In fact, I'm not even anti-med and I'm not anti-doctor. I am anti-ignoring the root cause. I think it's important for each and every one of you to understand what insulin resistance is, why our body reacts the way that it does, and most importantly, what can I do and you do to start improving your health that doesn't require this all the time, okay? Or being on some crazy diet. Okay, if any of this sounds familiar, you're not alone. And if it does, would you just put a thumbs up in the chat? Okay. If you and I went to a family reunion, okay, both sides of the family are there. Your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, okay? If you've got kids, your spouse, right? How many people at your family reunion are struggling with their health? How many people there are dealing with these issues? When you go to a grocery store, of all places, folks, you could throw a pebble down the street and you're going to know 10 people that are affected by these issues. It is a global epidemic. Okay. Think about it. The biggest health crisis in the world today is not just our economy, right? It is insulin resistance. How many of you have fatty liver disease? How many of you have neuropathy? How many of you know what type 3 diabetes is, right? Type 3 diabetes happens to be insulin resistance of the brain of an adult. How many of you have, kids? Too much sugar in the brain of a child is ADHD. Is this making sense? Thank you, Steve, by the way. I didn't miss your message, I promise. Okay? And here's the frustrating part. Most people are treating symptoms instead of addressing the root cause. Blood pressure meds. How many, right? People are getting on blood pressure meds and cholesterol meds. Okay, diabetes meds, sleep meds, acid reflux meds. And Michelle Mann, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you. Okay. I want you guys to understand, I don't care what medications you're on. They do not fix insulin resistance at all. Meds aren't designed to fix your root cause. They're not meant to fix the symptoms that you have. It's meant to temporarily mask them, right? Because that's what it is. You're masking your symptoms. I want you to think of insulin resistance like a fire that is burning out of control in our bodies, right? Just like how smoke signals that there's a fire, the symptoms that you feel are the smoke. And we can either choose to put that fire out and the smoke goes away, or we can keep treating the symptoms, right? We can keep pouring water on the smoke and the fire just continues to burn out of control. If you had a solution, if there was a solution to the problem, how many of you would want to know about it? And it's okay if you don't, right? I know some people, unfortunately, I talk to far too many people who are very content on where they're at. They are content on getting their medications for free. And as long as they don't feel like they're getting worse, right? They don't care that they're not getting better, just as long as they're not getting worse. But most people are pretty content with the fact that they're getting their medications for free. Yet they have no desire to do anything other than that to try and improve their health and actually put that fire out. How many of you have ever been told that you can't reverse type 2 diabetes? You guys can reverse type 2 diabetes all day long. I've seen it hundreds of times. I've seen people who have had a foot ulcer that nearly killed him. And what's interesting is that when he went to the doctor, he spent over $100,000 in treatments and meds, and it barely even touched his foot ulcer. And within a couple months of being on a simple chlorogenic acid tea and a fiber matrix, his foot ulcer is completely gone. It's completely saved his life, amongst a lot of other issues that he was having that, by the way, most people don't realize are all connected to each other. Here's the part that no one wants to tell you, folks. If I go to the doctor and I've got IBS and I've got migraines and cholesterol issues, and let's just say that I'm being an advocate for myself and I go to 3 different doctors. You guys realize that every doctor you go to, you're going to pay a copay, and you're gonna go home with at least 3 medications, and not one of those meds even touches the root cause. See, all they're doing is managing the numbers, the symptoms. But the moment you stop it, guess what happens? It's no different than a diet. You and I can white knuckle a diet for 2 weeks. We can lose weight. We stop the diet. All the weight comes back. Seriously, that's what happens. And we have the solution to the biggest health problem in the world, and most people don't even know that it exists. But it does. I've been using it for 2 years. I reversed stage 4 kidney disease in 5 months of being on this. I lost 32 pounds. My migraines of 23 years went away. My acid reflux, my brain fog, anxiety, depression, sleep apnea, all of this went away. And if you are looking for an alternative to what it is that you're doing that might not be working for you, there's literally zero risk in trying what it is that I'm talking about. Now, I teach people 2 things, okay, really 3 things, okay? I teach people fasting. I teach people about fiber, why it's important to get fiber in our diet. And number 3, I talk about making sure that you've got the right tools. This is the tool that I use. And if you want the tool that I use, awesome. If you don't, awesome. There's no judgment. But if you are looking for a simple, safe way to improve your health that is natural, if you're more on the holistic, this is an absolute game changer and priceless. I love your handle, by the way. Thank you for the follow. Okay. So, a common question that I get about diabetes or pregnancy and gestational diabetes, right? So I want to address that real quick. Okay. If you're pregnant, okay, you shouldn't do intermittent fasting, but you can still use the Feel Great system that I talk about, right, to help manage your glucose spikes and to, reduce and eliminate your cravings. Okay. This is especially important during pregnancy. Okay. Now, here's something that most people don't realize. You can be thin and still be insulin resistant. Right? You could have high blood pressure, you could have migraines, cholesterol issues, all of these things. Okay? Brain fog. Okay? Brain fog is a sign of insulin resistance. Okay? Even without weight gain. Okay? This is why it's important to understand what's going on inside your body. Okay? Most of us were taught to eat 3 meals a day and a snack 2 to 3 times throughout the day. Okay? That eating pattern is why 93% of us are sick. And folks, I'm telling you, if you're on a bunch of meds and you feel like they're just managing your symptoms, you're right. It's exactly what they're doing. Classic siblings, thank you for hopping on this live. Okay? Folks, if you're looking, you just found it. Okay? For those of you that are just tuning in, please let me know where you guys are tuning in from. I'm always curious where people are located. And if you're curious as to what I'm talking about insulin resistance. I'm talking about why 93% of people are metabolically sick. Most people are on medications. Okay. And most people feel like that's what the rest of your life is going to look like. Right? Doctor's appointments and medications. Okay. It doesn't have to be that way though. Michelle Mann, South Africa, I love it. Okay. Love it. Okay. So, right, how many of you are eating 3 meals a day and snacking 2 to 3 times a day, right? We call this the SAD diet, okay? The standard American diet right here. Okay? This is most people's diet. Okay? This is what most people are doing every single day. They wake up, right? They immediately go to coffee with cream. They immediately go and have breakfast. Okay? In Alexandra, I have a lot of customers in New Zealand. I love it. I would love to find a partner in New Zealand and fly out and train the new partner. I would love to do that. Okay. Folks, when you fast, when you go longer periods of time without eating food, you're giving your body the ability to heal. You're giving your gut a break. If this is what we're doing all day long, okay, your insulin is high all the time. My goal is to help change that. Okay. I've only got a few more minutes and I'm going to hop off. I am going to do a live tomorrow morning, but I wanted to get on tonight because I know that there's people literally all over the world that are looking for an answer to their prayers. People are looking for an answer to their health issues. I think for the majority, most people are sick and tired of being on one more medication. And I think most of you are sick and tired of every time you go to your doctor, that's all they want to do is put you on a med. We have the solution to a big problem, and nobody knows about it. Alexandra, thank you for the follow. This system is just as effective and often works better than the medications that are often prescribed. This is listed in the physician's desk reference. It works. It's guaranteed to work. In fact, the manufacturer gives everyone who's willing to try it 90-day money back guarantee. So if it doesn't work, you just get your money back. You lose nothing. There's no risk. The risk is not doing anything. The risk is continuing to do the same things that we have been doing, expecting a different result. Jacob, thank you for being on this live tonight. If this resonates with you, and if this sounds like what you are looking for, don't wait. It literally will change your life. And if you're looking for a solution to the problem, I'm telling you, this is an absolute godsend in helping people to improve their health. And most people literally have no idea. This is why I love this. And if this, right? And if, again, as I mentioned, if this sounds like what you have been looking for, praying for, you don't have to wait to fix your health at all. I love talking about this. And if there's anything that I can do that can help improve your health in ways that can help to improve your health in a way that doesn't have to be one medication after another, that's all you have to do. And folks, I have a discount, okay? If you're wanting this, there's a discount code and I can give that to you, okay? I'm living proof that you can fix and you can improve your health in ways that don't require meds or diets or crazy exercises. That's what this is all about. I love this. It has literally changed my life. And if this resonates with you, if it sounds like, again, maybe, and by the way, your doctor can look this up. Okay. I hope that you guys have an amazing weekend. If there's anything that I can do to help you, please let me know. That's all I want to do is help and make an impact. And I hope that you guys have an amazing evening. If there's anything that I can do to assist you, if there's questions that you have, okay, if there's friends and family members that you know are struggling with their health, feel free to share this live with them. Feel free to share my information with them so that they can hop on, they can listen, okay? That's what this is all about. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being on this live, okay? I'll stay on for a couple minutes and answer any questions that you might have. And Miji and everybody else, thank you so much for tapping the screen and for sharing this. I appreciate that. Just making sure I haven't missed any questions. Well, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your night. Okay. I'll be on tomorrow night, or excuse me, tomorrow morning. Okay. God bless you.